Well, hello there. You're probably wondering what I'm doing atop a treehouse. Well, today on the Property Simplified show, we are on location in Narok County, and we're going to tell you all about a treehouse that's named the Lover's Nest. Now, what happens is lovers book the accommodation, and once they're in, this ladder pulls away and they have the accommodation all to themselves. Find out more about the idea behind this kind of accommodation on the Property Simplified show. I am your host, Claire Munde. Welcome. Now, first of all, tell me, what does the word Osim mean?
Okay, the word Osim have three meanings. One, if you take it as a word of Maasai called Osim, is a place where there is celebration. And I hope you have celebrated here. If you take as Osim, it means Ola Sankok in medicine. Because even my clinics used to be Osim Medical and Surgical Centers. If you take it as OSIM again, and this time we are targeting tourists, then we'll change the meaning to Organization for the Survival of Indigenous Maasai. So that at least, because in a business, the name means a lot. Because if, for instance, doctors, like there was a time we had doctors, veterinary doctors who stayed here. They were, I don't know what they were testing with hyenas. It's not about Wajakawa. There was something they were doing with hyenas because Wajakawa wants some organs, which I don't want to mention. But those ones were a very good one. They were treating the hyenas. And there were 30 of them. When they heard that this is Ola Sankok in medicine, they kind of fell at home because they are medics. So they felt this is like home. So they stayed here for almost 3 months. And they gave us a lot of money. When we get tourists and they hear that it is about indigenous Maasai, naturally when tourists come visiting, they come to see the wild animals as well as our culture as the Maasai. So when you tell them this is Organization for the Survival of Indigenous Maasai, then you can attract customers. Again, in business, you have to have a name that can be pronounced, that somebody can remember. You know, those long names that sometimes don't have meanings. Yeah, you know, because advertisement is also about your client that you have served well, who will go and tell another possible client. And how will they remember if the name is so long and you cannot memorize it? But Osim is a very simple name. I know you will also remember.
We've been around this lodge and we've noticed that green is the theme color, and even on the chair you're sitting on, there's the theme of green, and then the stripes are like the Kenyan flag, which is also what you're wearing, and you're known for that kind of attire. So what is the inspiration behind your attire and the theme of this lodge?
Three of them again. One is that as a pastoralist, I've suffered from climatic change more than any other person. We have been having droughts. I've lost thousands and thousands of livestock. Every year, pastoralists alone lose 1 million cows annually, courtesy of drought. And sometimes when we pray for God to send us rains, we close one eye and pray opening another one, because rains come with floods that have killed so many of us, especially in Narok. I remember in my clinic in Narok, there was a day that I had to go to the rooftops because the whole clinic was swept by floods, and 15 people lost their life that day in Narok. Luckily enough, I was above the ceiling, and the house I was in did not crumble. So mine is to send a message that let us make our country green by planting trees. Let us protect our environment. So the color green is a coded message to you and to every Kenyan let us go green. And that is why you see Osim. You can now hear the birds chirping. There are so many birds because of the green environment that is around this actually semi-arid area. This is an arid area, but it's like an oasis in the desert because we want to move towards being green. The second one is that I have to brand, because I've told you I'm from a very humble background. So my father did not brand, unlike the father of Uhuru, Jomo Kenyatta, who branded using the fly whiskey. But Uhuru does not have to brand because Kenyatta is already a brand. Gideon Moi does not have to brand because Moi is a brand. Who branded it? It is the late Daniel Torotichar Moi who branded using Arungu. And then William Ruto branded using a small cape with a Kenyan flag. And Nick Ruto does not have to brand today because already Ruto is a household name, is a brand. So my father, the highest position he ever held was the chairman of, I think, Relief Food. So he did not brand. So I have to brand. And branding is very important. There is a color specific that if you see, you know it is Citizen TV. Without necessarily reading. There is a color that if you see it, you know it is Equity because of branding. Businesses that have succeeded, DHL and others, have to brand. So even me, I have to brand. The final one is the color of the flag, the strips. Because for us to live in peace, we have to love our country. We have to be patriotic. But I have seen that one as if it is escaping us. Even you guys of the Fourth Estate, I blame you a lot. Because long are gone the days when you guys used to play patriotic songs every morning, every after news bulletins. You play something like Tushangilie Kenya Taifa Letu Tukufu. It brought us together. But nowadays, what do you play? Songs that we no longer hear using our ears. We feel the vibration under our stomachs. Yes? Kamatia chini, kamatia, what is being kamated? You know, there are things that you guys nowadays sing, you know. So, I want to send a message. You know, when I go to Dubai, when I go to United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability in New York, Assembly of State Parties on ICC, maybe in Netherlands, you know, with the Kenyan flag, I'm sending a coded message that I'm Kenyan, but I'm proud to be a Kenyan. You know, I have not come to stay in your country. I have just come for a meeting because I'm going back home because I love my country. We have to learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or preach together as fools. Those are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. And since you did not, my little sister, did not apply to be born a Kenyan, I didn't also apply to be born a Kenyan. Fate and destiny have brought us together. We have no alternative but to love this country. And once you love your country, once you love your neighbors, then I don't think utangoa really. I don't think utalete post-election violence. Peace begin with, first of all, loving your country. If those boys of ours who have been recruited into Al-Shabaab to come and bomb us, if really they love their country and they are patriotic, they will say, no, you can send me any other place, but not back home, because my country, my pride.
Okay. Now, how many acres is this lodge on?
I bought as plots because it's a town. So I started buying as individual plots of 50 by 100 and then go for change of user and change the usage. Otherwise, it was supposed to be a residential area and to our plots. So I started buying one by one. I bought a total of 28 plots. But, you know, naturally, life is all about kujipanga. So when I started buying it, when I bought around 5 to 7 of them, there are people who are not willing to sell, or they had hiked their prices so high. You know, I could not afford the prices, so I had to devise also a means. So I lied that I'm constructing a mortuary. No one wants to live next to a mortuary, you know, and when you come and say, my plot is around here, I tell you, then the architecture of place here, an incinerator, that will be burning stillbirth and placentas, but I will try to put a chimney long enough not to disturb you. And then people will say, no, I don't want to be next to a mortuary. Please buy this one of mine. And the price also came down. You know, this world is a free market where a willing buyer and a willing seller. That is why I benefited from 28 plots. And as you have seen, there are another area with pigs, so that the food, you know, you people eat, you know, you are very rich people, you know, this is a lodge. So they will eat something small and leave. The leftovers are too much. So we have pigs there so that they can eat the leftovers, so we don't go into any losses. So we make profit in all areas. So that is how big it is.
First of all, buying the plots, you said it's a free market and you were able to negotiate and got a low price. So how much did you spend on your 28 plots? And second, how much did you spend constructing this lodge?
Let's say approximately, because there are other plots that were going for 600,000, 700,000, others 300,000. So if you put an approximate price of 500,000 with also the issue of change of user and transfers and other things, then you will find that probably we had invested 14 million purchasing the land. Now planting trees and landscaping and other issues were the difficult part, because as you know, this is an area with a lot of acidic soils, so you have to neutralize by having charcoal and what do you call, where they have burned the charcoals, the remains, you know, around there. We have to transport to this area, and also transport sand. Yes, building sand, so that we put to this area so that we neutralize the acid part of it. And for trees to grow here, it is really an uphill task. You need to have a specialist to be able to know how to mitigate the effect of the salty soil and the acidic soil. So landscaping and planting of all these trees and attracting these birds that we feed, I think costed us around 40 million. Yes. And you see the buildings are a bit cheaper, local materials. I used to get offcuts. Offcuts are timber that those who are getting the real timber throw away. So we decided to use them, because before I went to the University of Nairobi, I thought my father would not afford to take me to the university. So, and since we used to stay for 2 years before the intake, I went to Narok Youth Polytechnic. I trained as a carpenter, so I'm a qualified carpenter. That is why you see a lot of my buildings are wooden. So we did not invest a lot in terms of buildings, apart from the rooms, which may have costed some amount. But I think I've lost the account, because whatever I get, a salary from selling cows, from my clinic, humble clinic, from selling pigs, from selling goats and sheep, and from the little farming that I do of the wheat and barley and maize and beans, then any profit I just put here, any profit I put here, and from some little rents, and that is how. So I may not really know the specific amount. Okay.
Now, would you say that this has been a profitable business? We are just coming out of COVID. It's 2.5 years later. How has your experience been in the hotel industry versus any other real estate investment that you've made?
During the time of COVID, when there was some cessation of movements, we really suffered. And the young men that I have here and young women, I feel they are part of my family. In fact, we call ourselves Osim family. That is why you see them also wearing like me, so that we will not know who is the boss and who is not the boss. So I take them as my family. So during COVID, I could not have sent them home. So I used my entire salary from Parliament to pay them for almost 4 months. But fortunate enough, they were also now cultivating a few farms that we have here. So because they also saw that they cannot be eating and getting a salary, yet they are making nothing. So they decided also to assist me in farming. And some of them even went into construction. Yes, without charging me anything. Wakakuwa watu wa mkono bila kulipisha anything. And na wakachunga hiyo nguruwe vizuri sana. You know, that was the time that now we decided to keep pigs, because they told me, let us have another venture. Like pigs, we can be busy. So we decided, and we bought around 3 pigs, and within a very short time they had given birth, and they give birth to 12 of them. So that is 36. Another round, you know, they only began pregnant for 4 months. In fact, they are more profitable than cows. You know, so we decided to make some money. So during COVID, it was very tough for us for almost 6 months, but later on, we now started making profit. But I can say that I have not been able to get returns from my investment, because for me, it is not mine. It is for my children. Because already, probably I have a salary, probably I have another source because I have cows, I have these pigs, so I'm sure I can be comfortable for the years that God will give me. But then anything that is extra, then I invest for my kids so that they will not go through a lot of troubles that I went through.
Okay, now we saw the lover's nest, which is a very interesting concept of a tree house that has a ladder that even moves away after the lovers have gone there. What was the thinking behind building that?
You know, as I told you, the first thing is that in business you have to have a very good name, a name that anybody can pronounce, so that everybody can sell you, a name that can attract people with some meanings, depending on whom you are targeting as your potential customer. But again, for business to thrive, you must have your own uniqueness. Yes, something that somebody will say, I will travel so that I can see that particular thing. Because you cannot attract somebody from Nairobi to leave all those 5-star hotel simply because you have built another 5-star hotel 160 kilometers away from another 5-star hotel that they are in. So I had to devise a way. First of all, by having timber houses, by having a very big lawn, and by having a compound, and by having birds, something that you will not get in Nairobi, something that will get people out from Narok town so that they can drive, use fuel to come and become customers of Osim. But the most unique part of Osim, and that I've given us business, is the lover's nest. A house perched on a gigantic acacia tree, just beside River Wasongro. The chirpings of birds and the whispering of the river Wasongro meandering just next to the lover's nest will give you the comfort that you will not get in Nairobi, you will not get in Narok. And the most unique part of it is that when you enter the lover's nest, we assume that probably you are in honeymoon and you have never seen each other in terms of whatever. So it is your first day. So when you go up there, you know, we will first of all treat you with a herbal soup, with a herb called okribwanyeng, which we used to use when Morans come out of Moranism, and they actually need now to marry and propagate as quick as possible because they have spent a lot of time in Moranism. So that herb is a natural Viagra. So when we give you that herb, we will like you to be safely in the house for as long as we can, as long as you can. So once you are in, and we know the man have taken the Orkepornyen herb, we remove the ladder. Again, being on top of a tree, the house naturally, under the winds, will sway a bit, you know, because it's a tree. This tree is natural, you know. You'll feel like the turbulence in an aeroplane. But unlike in an aeroplane where there is safety belts, here there is no safety belt. You'll only have to grip, you know, fasten your safety belt, but here fasten your grip.
Who's interested in getting into the real estate business, whether it's a hotel, whether it's flats or anything, what are the tips that you would give people to enter in this?
First of all, know the clientele that you are targeting. Study them. Study the environment. Study the market equilibriums. Because you may end up investing. If I may give you an example. If you build a 20-story house in a remote rural area, then you may never get value for your money when you are alive. Of course, you may get return on investment 600 years from now, which then does not give value for your money. So it is good, first of all, to study the area and know the clientele that you are targeting, and try to make the place unique so that it can attract the clients that you are targeting. Study the likes and dislikes of your clients. Make sure that you have treated them well, and make sure that you have competed with the rest, because it is a competition. If today I had decided just to build a hotel here at Awasongro, the population of Awasongro will not be able to satisfy the 28 plots that I have around here. So I have to target somebody outside this small town called Awasongro. And I will target people of which class? Is it the rich? And what is the population of the rich? Is it the middle class? And what is the population of the middle class? Is it the lower class? Do they have the purchasing power? So you have to also balance. So here we decided that for the hotel, we target the middle class as well as the upper class. That is why we have the executive rooms, the presidential suites, and also the standard rooms and the manyatas. The manyatas are for the foreigners who have never slept in a manyata. The lover's nest is for the lovers. We know in Kenya there's millions of marriages every year and millions of relationship new ones. So if today a man take you to Mombasa and you go to that chama merry-go-round and you say I was in Mombasa, most likely all the ladies that you are with in that chama will say I've also been in Mombasa. But if you go and say proudly, my guy took me to a house on top of a tree, everybody will leave their stories and say, where? And what is that house on the tree? And most likely no one have gone to that house on top of a tree. So we have attracted a client, you know, especially ladies, you know, when during chama, they want to be heroines. So when they come here, then they will then be, the rest will keep quiet so that they can give them the story of the lover's nest, how there is it is sway where there is like turbulence and where the ladder is removed so that you can have your time, where the Orkebornyany hub is also served. So I think that one. And then again, there are also other businesses like what I have told you about livestock farming and business and buying and fattening and so on. You know, we lose a lot of livestock during drought. You can easily buy when you have hay and you have molasses, fatten them and sell them at an exorbitant price, and by that you'll have assisted yourself to make profit. You'll also have assisted that Maasai not to lose their livestock to drought without making little money. So I think in business you have really to study a lot and you have to find financial advisors. But mostly for me, I just decided niende tu kienyeji. In fact, if you see these guys who are here, their qualification, the chef did not even go to class 1. Yes, he was just a Moran for 5 years. That was the qualification. Morans normally know how to roast meat. Since we roast meat here, I told him, come here. So when he came here, I sent him to Chester Hotel. I was paying his salary, but he served Chester Hotel free of charge. And I told him, because you don't have papers, you have to learn everything. So they learn pancakes, everything, you know. And you know, when somebody is not learned, they don't have papers. They have something to prove. And again, when they are here, they are earning quite huge salaries. And when they earn that salary, if they go outside there without papers, then they will earn salaries of mtu wa mkono. So you will have job retention being very high. And again, for those, I analyze my staff, their strengths and weaknesses. Like those in rooms are deaf, because I know they don't have to talk to bed sheets, they don't have to talk to blankets, and since they want to prove a point, they really are very good because their hands work and their eyes work. It's only they don't hear, and they give me 100% of man hours. You know why? They don't even call because they cannot hear. When the helicopter was coming, those guys were busy there. They did not hear the helicopter was here. They were busy doing housekeeping work, But if you had other people, you saw them. These other guys, the receptionists and the others, they had left the reception. All of them were looking at the helicopter. So I analyze also their strength and decide to put them where their strength will really work. There was a time we had a lady on attachment who was on a wheelchair. So we decided to put her on the reception, because she will be there throughout, receiving phone calls, just there. Because even getting out is a ceremony. Even going to the toilet, she have to wait for her bladder to be full. Because going to the toilet, she must call for somebody to push them. So they give you 100% of their man hour. So you have also to analyze your staff and make sure that they work where their strength is and remunerate them well. Like now, when the issue of COVID came in, we decided as a family, since I have another salary from Parliament, why don't I use it to pay their salaries, so that we don't send them home. Some of them had children in school, their parents depend on them, We cannot just do that. It will have been inhuman. So let us also treat our staff in a way that they also give us more, because you depend on them to work in that business of yours.